Hey, welcome back to the car. It is Monday. I think it's October the 3rd, and something like that, whatever that Monday is. It's got to be the 4th, right? Yeah. I was supposed to be on vacation this week. Not happening. Work's too crazy. State of charge started out this morning from my house at 186 miles of charge. And I've talked about this before, and it varies like every day. I'm plugging into the same charger. I'm charging on the mobile charger at 32 amps. The car's set on the normal limit at 80%, and it varies between 185 and 193. So it takes into account the fact that I'll get higher mileage when I'm driving out on the highway. Because if I'm just rolling up and down the highway at 55, 65 miles an hour, doing my normal commute, the power consumption is, on the order of 185 watts a mile. If I'm driving around on the weekend and I'm driving and I'm not letting the cruise control drive, let's just say it's a lot higher than that. And so the car takes that into account, the battery management system. It's estimating your distance you can drive based on your driving habits. So I hope people finally have figured that out. Probably not, but like if I look at my my energy consumption right now, average watt hours to mile is 210, and my projected range is 179 according to the energy management screen, and that's at 30 miles and average range, not extent range, and yet what the dash tells me is 171. So yeah, it re-estimates, and that 210 will actually get better as I drive, just in traffic on the highway. So work's been pretty interesting. One of the things that we're doing is a closed loop power system. I talked about that in was it the last blog? I talked about PID controls and stuff. Trying to get this closed loop control system to really accurately power share has been an interesting challenge. We got multiple circuits all trying to share power and trying to keep them balanced. It's really interesting. You almost have to have one control that controls the voltage, and another one that looks at the amount of current that the multiple circuits are sharing. And then if there's like the one that's the lowest, you turn it up, 1 tick or something, and then let the let the outer loop, the voltage loop, control. I don't know. You don't want them to fight each other. You want them to cooperate. Figuring that out is always hard. I'm about to have to get new tires in this car. I've got 36, almost 37,000 miles on the car on this set of tires, and they're getting down there. And it's October, so we're getting into rainy, snowy season, and I'm going to need new tires. They're at the edge of, you better get new tires. So I've been talking to a lot of folks online, and the guy the guy who plays keyboards with me on Sunday morning, I play guitar, he plays keyboards at my church, which is St. Timothy's in Sykesville, Maryland, should anybody care. We meet in the old St. Joseph's Chapel in Old Town Sykesville. I used his referral code when I bought the car. And he had just gotten new tires, so I'm probably going to get the same ones he's got. He really likes them. And I don't remember what they are, so I'll either put that in the notes or talk about it in another vlog. No, car, you don't need to change lanes to follow the route, just stay here. Sometimes I like turn an autopilot off because it's just like, well, we're gonna change lanes right now, and I'm like, no, you're fine, you know. I said I don't feel like it plans very well. You know, it's got this heuristic where it'll want to change one lane every mile. So if you're 2 lanes over from where you need to be to get off, it'll have you change 1 lane 2 miles out, another lane 1 mile out. If you're in a lane change, follow the route. Yeah, you're fine. There's guys over here. Like, there's people here, and no, I'm not changing lanes. So, yeah, you hear the bing. That's the, hey, change lanes. We're getting there. There's this merge here, right? So you don't want to change until this merge is done, because you don't want to block. I'm in a left-hand lane with nobody in front of me, and, you know, like one guy behind me, and I don't want to go over a lane to keep those people from being able to merge. And there's like 5 UPS trucks right here. So it just doesn't plan well. I'm hoping that the full self-driving will do that better. I did sign up for the open beta, and I paid for the full self-driving when I bought the car, which was 2 years ago, and at that time I paid, you know, $5,000, you know, kind of into the program. Yes, you need to follow the route. Yes, I know, you're fine. And so they put this thing out, it was like a little over a week ago, and they're going to give it to people based on their driving score, like, and the metrics that they chose seem, I don't know, really arbitrary. I'm on the Baltimore Beltway coming up to the BW Parkway southbound. I'm on the outer loop of the Beltway, and this exit is really, really goofy. And the car doesn't do well, so I have to always take the manual control here. But anyhow, I'm hoping that the full self-driving plans ahead a little bit better. From the videos that I've seen, it seems to. So here's hoping. It does feel like Tesla doesn't really have a good way to collect comments about, you know, things like enhanced autopilot or even requests for, I mean, little stuff that's all software driven. Like, I'm of the opinion that your headlights should always be on while you're driving. Just turn the headlights on all the time. There's no reason not to, especially when they're LEDs, right? You're not wearing out an incandescent light bulb. The LED lasts generally forever. And there's just no reason to not have your headlights on. And there's a lot of reasons to have your headlights on. It's just much safer. So the car will put the running lights on all the time. But there's no reason not to turn the headlights on. It just makes you more visible during the day. It makes people, not so that you can see, but so that people can see you. And so I really would like the car to have an option that says lights on while driving, rather than lights auto. Just, if I'm in drive, put the headlights on. You know, so we know with it. I'd really like to have a, don't change the audio level of the sound system ever. I set the level. That's the level I want it to be. Don't change my radio. And it does it all the time, which is really frustrating. There needs to be an option to, you know, interior noise or whatever. They auto change that and you can't turn it off, which they should be able to. There should be a way to turn that auto ranging off. There's another thing. There was one other thing. Well, and everybody's been asking for waypoints in the maps for like ever. And Elon was, I mean, you kind of have to badger Elon to get something done. And that's not the way it should be. There should be a better way to react to things that the car doesn't do well, or maybe sometimes does poorly. Let's put it back in autopilot here. I'm now on the Butler Washington Parkway. Turn it up a little bit. So I'm looking at this. Back to the full self-driving. I'm looking at the stats that they choose. People are like, I don't know if I can get to 100. I'm like, well, I'll be lucky to get to 50. Just because of the metrics that they chose. I mean, most of the time I drive on autopilot because I'm back and forth to work, and it's 50 miles one way, 48, something like that, and you can see me better without my glasses. I got a lot of glare on the glasses. And I'm like, why are you choosing those things? And shouldn't you give the full self-driving to the worst drivers first? Improve the whole, see how much better you can, improve the whole traffic situation. But I guess they're like, well, if you're a good, safe driver, then you're gonna be, you're gonna comment better on the beta program. I don't know. It seemed like a weird metric by which to choose people who go into the beta program. Like, I paid for this two years ago, and put me in the beta program, would you please? It's just not that I use it a lot more than I use the enhanced autopilot. I just going back and forth to work, but I'd probably use it a little bit more door to door. A little bit. Like, I wouldn't trust it to let me get out of my driveway. My driveway's on a bit of a curve, and so seeing both left and right is a little bit difficult. And people fly around the curve coming up to my house from my left. It's a 40-mile-an-hour road, and frequently people are doing 60. And I've seen people do a lot worse than that, and I've had a lot of really bad accidents right in front of my house. So I tend to rocket bunny out of there, just because I always feel like it's dicey getting out. And so am I going to trust full self-driving to get me out of my driveway? Nah, not really. But I'm looking forward to the full self-driving. One of the reasons I bought it was to be able to, I don't know, just reduce my stress, which is one of the reasons I got the car in the first place. And then the other thing is, I'm hoping that it really helps people with disabilities. People who can drive, but have a lot of anxiety about driving. I have one friend in particular that, he's an adult with, children who are approaching 20, so he's near 40, and he can't drive. He's got too much anxiety. And it's fine, right? But if he could get over his anxiety enough to get his license, and he had a full self-driving car, then the car could drive him, and he could go anywhere. And right now he has to rely on rides or whatever. It would just be an opportunity that he wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. He does really well. His wife drives and things like that. he works from home, so it kind of doesn't matter to some extent. But my one daughter, actually both my daughters have sufficient anxiety that, you know, it's not something they want to do. They don't really want to. They don't want to drive really, and it may become an issue at some point in their life. Maybe Uber continues to be a thing that's, you know, big enough that it's kind of no big deal. On the other hand, if they got their license and can use a full self-driving car to get where they need to go, they can go anywhere. So it's one of the reasons I felt like I wanted to invest in the program, because I want to see this succeed, and the best way to help it succeed is to invest in it when I could. And so, like I said, I bought self-driving with the car, even though I knew it wasn't, you know, it was going to be a couple, 3 years away at least. I went ahead and did that investment because I think it's a good thing overall. I recently had a friend on Facebook say, "Oh, I would never trust one of those self-driving cars." I'm like, that car's a better driver than almost anybody out here. Even the enhanced autopilot is a better driver on the highway than most people. And you know, it doesn't tailgate. It signals when it changes lanes. Doesn't cut people off. Leaves sufficient space everywhere. Runs at consistent. You know, if you're driving on cruise control like I am right now, it runs at a really consistent speed, which is really good for traffic. It's much safer when you're, you know, it doesn't get drowsy. It doesn't drive drowsy, right? I've had times where I'm driving home and it's late at night, and I'm like kind of, nodding off or whatever, and the car stays safe. That's a bad thing to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's an okay thing to do. It is not. But the car keeps me safe. Whereas, if I'm driving something else, the possibility is that it can be really dangerous. So I think it's a very safe option, especially for highway driving. Is it going to make a big difference in local driving? No, not really. Maybe eventually it will. Won't run red lights. Won't run stop signs. Whereas people get distracted, and sometimes they miss them. Sometimes they do it deliberately. Most times they just miss it. Like, oop, that was a stop sign. Car doesn't get distracted. It won't do that. It'll stop. So you can override it. You're always responsible, but in general, I'm hoping that it's a safer option for most people. It's a less stressful option for everybody, really. And that it affords people who otherwise might not be able to drive all the time, who could qualify to get their license and understand what it is to, safely operate a motor vehicle, but gets them on the road. All right, I'm 14 miles from work. I have 154 miles of range, and that's about all for me today. All right, thanks a lot for following along, and we'll see you later.